Hey, Samford fans, John McAfoo's here with another edition of The New Normal, our series of video interviews with Samford coaches, student athletes, and staff about how they've dealt with the changes brought on by COVID-19. Today, I'm happy to be joined by Samford Director of Athletics, Martin Noonan. Martin, I know you've got a lot going on right now with all this, but I appreciate you taking some time.
Yeah, I hate it when I hear the new normal, and I'm hoping that it's the temporary normal and not the new normal. This is an unbelievable, unprecedented time, Johnny Mac, that we're going through. But I think the beauty of all this is we know who's in charge, and he's going to provide, and we just have to stay positive and try to deal with this as best we can.
Yeah, obviously, this is a situation that's constantly evolving, and I'm sure you're consistently talking about it with the rest of the athletics leadership and the university leadership team, your fellow SoCon ADs. But take us back a few weeks ago to when this started and tell us a little bit about when the seriousness of this issue started to enter your mind as far as winter and spring sports being affected.
Yeah, Johnny Mac, I remember watching an NBA game, and when they canceled that Oklahoma City Thunder game, I thought, okay, this is real. And this is going to affect not only the NCAA championship, but it could affect the spring sports as well. And then as the SoCon ADs kind of took the lead from what the NCAA did as it related to canceling spring championships, which, to be honest with you, I thought the time they were a little premature on that. But given what we now know, they weren't premature. They were doing exactly what needed to be done. But and I can remember you and I were talking about it, the softball game, our last softball game, and going up and watching it, knowing that we had just gotten off a call with the SoCon ADs and had made the decision that we were going to cancel, or at least postpone at that time, all of our spring sports until sometime near the 1st of April. And then we later came back and said we just needed to cancel. So again, just something that nobody expects. I never thought in my lifetime or my career I would be talking on a call about canceling sporting events for a virus, but that's where we are right now.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about that conference call on that date of that last home softball game with the SoCon ADs, because as you said, you probably all already knew what the decision would have to be at that point, but just take us into that discussion a little bit, because while safety is obviously always the first priority, it can never be easy to talk about the prospect of pulling games from some of those student athletes, especially the seniors.
Yeah, really tough conversation because all of us, we get into this business because you have an affinity for your student athletes and you want to see them to be able to achieve their dreams and their goals. And so having that conversation with the ADs and talking about the possibility at the time, and we wanted to be very careful with our wording that we weren't canceling at the time, we were postponing indefinitely until we could have further review, until we knew more. And I look back at that time and how rapidly everything was changing. I mean, every hour we were getting new information. And so going to that softball game and watching our student athletes, knowing that we were probably going to postpone until maybe mid-April to late April. And then the very next day realizing, yeah, we're probably going to be canceling our seasons. And we circled back around and made the right decision, I think, to cancel the spring seasons, although a very painful one. It was the right decision.
Yeah, something like this happening is bound to have so many ripple effects on every university and athletics department across the country. And I mean, some of them have already happened, like the NCAA slashing the payouts, and some are to be determined because we really don't know how long something like this is going to last. But can you talk just a little bit about both the immediate and long-term effects that a situation like this could potentially have on Samford athletics?
Sure. Well, again, the immediate effects obviously is for those student athletes that aren't getting to participate, and not just our spring sports student athletes, but my heart breaks for our women's basketball team. I mean, it's those 8 seniors and what they were able to accomplish in winning not only the regular season but the tournament championship is just remarkable. So financially, it's going to be a big deal. The NCAA came out and announced that the revenue distribution from the men's basketball, canceling of the men's basketball tournament, but the revenue distribution, which they budgeted around $600 million, was reduced about 62.5% to $225 million. That means each institution is going to take a significant hit. That's a significant hit to our budget. We're trying to figure out how we're going to replace that revenue that we count on. The long-term effect, none of us know, because we're still in that position where hopefully we will be back and we'll have student athletes back on our campus sometime this summer. And then we'll try to figure out how to get football teams trained and ready to play in August. But nobody knows. That could push back later. And if that pushes back later in the summer months, what does that do to football season? Are there scenarios where you might not play football season at all? Do you play football season without any fans there? I mean, I think the one thing we've got to be mindful of in whatever we do is the health and well-being of our student athletes, though. And there's just still a lot of unknowns. And again, the only thing we can do is as humans is just to pray and just to hope that things turn out better quicker than later.
Well, and some positive news that I'm sure a lot of the student athletes love. The Division I Council yesterday did extend eligibility for all spring student athletes and adjusted the financial aid rules to allow programs to carry more scholarships as well. And it's certainly a positive for those seniors who missed out on their seasons and now have the option to come back. But also becomes a lot of work for these programs to figure out how to make it all work, not just for 2021, but when you look beyond, when the scholarship situation returns to normal.
Yeah, Johnny Mack, I may have picked the wrong time to be elected to the D1 Council. I was on a WebEx call yesterday for 3 hours with about 60 other people representing all of the different leagues and on very important things. And obviously the main thing we addressed yesterday was talking about the eligibility and for winter sports, the basketballs. And obviously we made the decision that we just didn't feel like we could go forward with that. It's a tough decision because I think about our own program and that women's basketball program not getting to compete in the NCAA tournament. However, I did tell Carly there's very few times you get to end your season cutting the nets down, and she got to do it twice. So that's a good thing. But that was challenging. And then the spring sports, we just felt like, Johnny Mack, that because their season, the reality of it was, based on NCAA legislation as it stands now on the books, the student athletes who didn't get to finish their spring season because of the percentage of games they played, they would have been able to each individually do a waiver to the NCAA, and the NCAA really would have had no choice but to grant those waivers. And so we just felt like, rather than have that burden go to the NCAA staff that's already going to be taxed with so much additional stuff to do, we just felt like that each individual institution should be able to self-apply a blanket waiver. What we came up with was something that during these times, with this pandemic, was as fair as we could be and allows each institution to have flexibility to grant additional eligibility and extended clocks, but also to make decisions that works for their institution related to additional financial aid.
Of course, in the middle of all this as well, you're also in the process of searching for and hiring a new men's basketball head coach. And I know Samford fans would probably love the inside scoop, but since I'm fairly certain you're not going to give it to us right now, can you just kind of give us an update on the process and how it's been going, and if there's any kind of time frame for a hire?
You know, it's an interesting time to try to hire anybody, much less a basketball coach and a staff. Right now, the NCAA is in a dead period for all recruiting. So even if you hire a coach, they can't recruit. They can't spend time with their current team. So it's just not a very good time to be in this process. And quite frankly, as it relates to our university, we got bigger fish to fry right now than where we are with the men's basketball coach. You know, I'm so respectful of Dr. Westmoreland and what he is trying to do, as you called it, the new normal. We're going to call it the temporary normal, but this temporary normal that's going on right now and how they're trying to navigate things that most of us don't even think about. And so the basketball coaching search really is just kind of taking a back seat to more important matters at this time. And look, I'm not saying it's not important. Athletics is incredibly important. I've said it before. To me, it's the front porch to the university. But I think at this time, we've got other things that our senior leadership and senior administration needs to focus on. And I will continue to work tirelessly behind the scenes with several people that are helping us through this process to get their opinions and to try to vet. And we're getting close. We're definitely getting close, but we're not quite there. And you're not getting any scoop on this video, Chad. I promise you. As hard as you try, you're not going to get any scoop today.
Martin, really appreciate your time as always, and looking forward to getting back on campus at some point in the near future.
Yeah, man, I bet you never heard me tell you how much I miss you, but I miss you, man. I miss all of our staff. It's hard to see each other on these WebEx and to not be able to interact as we do. You know, we got a pretty unique family atmosphere at Samford, and so miss all you guys, and let's continue to keep working hard and promoting that Samford brand. And I appreciate all you do, Johnny Mack.
That's Director of Athletics, Martin Newton. I'm John McAfoose. Be sure to stay tuned to all Samford Athletics social media channels in the coming weeks for more interviews with athletes, coaches, and staff.